Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be looking at something a little bit different, something that I don't usually see on YouTube. Most people aren't really covering it because obviously the more exciting part of Clash of Clans is attacking. A lot of people get base solely off their attacking skills, which is fine. You know, bases need to be triple. But today we're going to be taking a look at some base building and some errors that I made this week with one of my bases in the war that we had against Klosh. So I just want to go ahead and preface this by saying that no base in this meta, especially at Town Hall 13, well, I guess it applies to 12 and 11 as well, but there's no way to really defend everything that someone can throw at your base at this point. It's kind of long past that season 2, season 3, even season 4 kind of where, you know, some bases, they just seem like they could not be triple. And that's a lot to do with, you know, balancing. I think Supercell kind of overdid it with offense this meta. I remember when, you know, the 10v10 hit rate used to be like 12% or 15% or something crazy, and those were like decent numbers. Now I think, you know, we got probably over half the people on each lineup are hitting 40, 50%, 13v13. So kind of wonky numbers right there, and it kind of just shows you that defense is a little bit underwhelming right now. But I want to kind of preach to the point that testing your bases against every strategy isn't really something that you're going to be able to defend against, and that was something that I kind of fell into this war. So we're going to be taking a look at the attack on my base. So my base got hit with what I was actually building to kind of bait in, and then it got cleaned up by something that I didn't test at all. And I'm going to go over the reasons why it worked and the reasons why I kind of changed my base around and what changes I did make in order to lead to that being a weakness in the base. Okay, so first attack is going to come in here. It's going to be from Toby, and this is going to be my base. So I was going for a more like a, I guess like a mix of like an anti-2, let's call it a 2.5, because it's not really anti-2, but it's got like a weird Town Hall compartment kind of segmented base. You can see that I'm kind of giving up an L to this base, to whatever attacker, right? So during testing, we really tested thoroughly queen charge into these compartments here. We'll just use one as an example. So we tested this really thoroughly, and at first the queen charge here was just absolutely crushing through here. So I kind of made some adjustments. I think I ended up putting like 3 SAMs in here. So I tested how far loons could get in, like a Coco loon. I played with the idea of putting all the Teslas out here as well. You know, super wall breakers. This would normally be, you know, kind of a tough compartment to break into because you would have to use the freeze spell in order to stop the scatter shot, and then you would probably have to use another freeze spell in order to slow down the Inferno. So the plan before the super wall breakers would have been to force the attacker to use at least 2 rage spells and 2 of their freeze spells to get into that compartment. And one thing I was kind of playing with the idea of these channels being vertical to the base, kind of making the flow of the attack this way instead of something like coming in from the side, because I wanted to kind of tempt the attacker to come in here, try to get a wall break into here, and then get to this eagle. So that was my plan. Originally, during testing, I had all 4 of these Expos on ground, and I had the sweeper pointed more towards this direction. That way healers would trail in, this sweeper would start blowing them, you know, pretty much immediately on entry. And then I put some SAMs kind of deep, like one right in front of the Inferno. And then with this sweeper blowing, I noticed that healers always ended up in this compartment. So I put another SAM over in this compartment between the air defense and the archer tower, because the Coco loon right here didn't really make sense. If most people were trying to charge in this way, this would, coming from this direction, would mean you need a, you know, you need a wall break here, a wall break here, and then this is kind of where you end, so you can't reach the eagle. So I wasn't too concerned about a charge from this angle. I was mostly concerned about a charge into that compartment there. Okay, now I had all, like I said, I had all 4 bows on ground, which means that when the attacker got into this part, yes, they could reach these 2 Expos, but this expo here would also pick up. And then by the time they got in here, that SAM would have also taken out one of the healers, along with this sweeper blowing the healers, going into this cannon, this archer tower. There's another archer tower. And then the CC pull would be in here, kind of going for like mass pandemonium on that entry right there. Okay, and I also put a set of ground skellies over here. They're like right here next to where I put that SAM. And the reason why I did that was because I wanted the attacker to come in here. I was anticipating this wall segment being broken. So the queen kind of picking one of these. And then if she came into this middle compartment, the ground skellies would kind of pull her back towards the air defense and prevent her from going to the eagle. So that portion actually went really well. All right. Now, what I ended up changing on this base was I had the SAM right here and then the SAM right here. And you're going to see on the replay that there's only actually one SAM there, because during the Lalo testing, we were running a blimp into, I believe it was directly into the town hall. And then the Sui here kind of gave up a lot of value. So I ended up, putting a SAM out here, I think a SAM in here, and I moved that from over here thinking, if I could just pick off one of the healers, I should be good. And when I was doing those changes, I also switched the expos to air, just kind of overcompensating just because of the amount of Lalo we've been seeing lately. This was like a last minute change, and I kind of overcompensated for it. And I shouldn't have done it because it didn't really test that well. It was overwhelming, and I made a couple small changes, and then I think it was like 1 out of 4 worked. So I should have just kept it, but I kind of crippled myself to a queen charge when I took these expos off of ground. So kind of a base building error there. However, I'm not going to really harp too much on the compartments and the ground expos. Like I said, you can't always build to defend against everything. What I am going to be taking a look at is this compartment up here and the placement of the spring traps. Okay, so giant bomb between 2 expos. I'm anticipating a tome coming out of this town hall. So by the time they reach here, I'm anticipating the tome to be wore off, kind of force an early heal over these 2 expos because of the scatter shot. And then I wanted to have spring trap here, spring trap here, spring trap, and then a spring trap. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because as hogs come through here, first of all, hogs always path towards defenses and they never go underground like miners, okay? So I know everyone knows that, just kind of speaking out my logic. So I knew if the queen didn't get this sweeper and everything was coming out of this town hall, the majority of the miners would follow this way. And then some hogs and some miners would also go this way. But some would start splitting to the eagle, and then some would keep going forward, right? And these would mostly be miners going this way because the spacing here is just closest buildings. So it's not just closest defenses. Hogs that would obviously be on the outside here are going to keep going this way. And then miners, I was anticipating going this way because this is a 3 tile gap as opposed to a 1 and then a 2. So that was my original testing purposes against the hybrid. Try to get a split here between most of the hogs, most of the miners, because I was testing against the idea of the siege barracks coming in somewhere around here with the king, doing like a king trade, and then trying to push down this way with the support hogs coming in around here, right? So that was my original, and I wanted to kind of bait that because I wanted to make it seem like I had Teslas in this area. I only have one, and the only reason I had that Tesla there was just to stop Cocoloon from getting my SAM. So just trying to bait that, make the attacker think that that's where the Teslas were. But that was my plan for how the miners and hogs would path through here. Now, with hogs coming through this way, they go here and here. As they path into these defenses, hogs, they when they take the next step to the Inferno, they don't go from like the top of the defense into the Inferno. They go from like where they're going to be attacking it and then through these little channels. So I put the first spring traps right here. Now, those are going to be really effective because the hogs are going to path directly over it. Miners are very difficult to hit with spring traps. It's kind of hit or miss because miners don't really have a like a set place that they go on a building. They kind of go wherever, they feel like it. But what we're going to end up seeing on the first attack, and I should have caught this in testing, was that these spring traps here, if I can catch, 6 hogs between these 2 spring traps as they're coming through here, there's not really a lot of hogs left. And what that ends up doing, especially, these being a bomb tower and scatter shot, what that's going to end up doing is meaning that mostly miners are going to be left here on the Inferno. And you're going to see that miners, when they path, they're going to go straight here, and then they're going to go straight underground, and they're going to kind of hit the corners of these buildings, and I'm not going to trigger any of the spring traps. So through testing, what I should have done was realize that I should have moved these spring traps back here. Okay, and I'm going to show you that as it happens. Another thing that I did on this base that was kind of just a stupid move. I don't think I really noticed that I did it until it was too late. But I ended up having like 3 spring traps here. And if I can remember correctly, the reason why I did that was because as hogs would come through here, I was going to get like this weird split between these buildings. So I noticed that there was a lot of spring potential here because miners and hogs would have to path. I was hoping that cannon to the Warden platform wouldn't be enough time for the miners to stay underground, that they would have to pop up in this little channel. So if I filled it up with 2 spring traps, I could catch maybe miners and hogs. Now the first attacker doesn't actually make it to that point. His hybrid dies out because of the split. My Teslas are all going to be in here, kind of in between these. And so his hybrid's going to die out because they're going to go into all these point defenses and the Queen and the Inferno and whatnot. Everything's going to kind of die. There's some giant bombs in here too. And I don't actually get to see if that would have worked. But what we're going to see on the cleanup attack is with miners, it absolutely did not work. So those are just some key things that I saw when building this base. And like I said, I should not have changed so much on it. If you're building a base and you start designing traps and defenses in order to prevent certain attacks, don't try to go last minute and try to defend something by moving all your traps, because it kind of nullifies the point of your base. So the second attacker was like a beautiful cleanup, and he exposed the weaknesses that I have in this compartment big time. So we're going to see how he did that. But first, we're going to go ahead and watch this replay. When it gets to the points of the base that things went right, I'm going to slow it down. And when it goes to the point where things went wrong that I should have changed, I'm going to go ahead and slow it down and show you that as well. So, Sneaky Goblin, good way to make a funnel here. Queen's going to come in and see that first loon doesn't catch anything. Now he's only got 1 loon to try to soak a SAM with. So I knew if I kept them deep enough, like in here and here, that I wouldn't have that potential. So his queen gets really low, ends up having a phase. I think if he would have got that rage down a little bit earlier, he probably could have saved himself from phasing there. But you're going to see Skelly's pop. Queen gets dragged over there. So at this point, he's not getting the eagle. He's not getting this expo. And you're going to see how that kind of affects his hybrid. Okay, and he hasn't pulled the CC yet, which he was anticipating doing with his queen, like right in here. So, and also if you notice, the sweeper was doing his job. If I would have kept the other SAM in here, his queen would have ended up losing the healers to that SAM. But we're going to go ahead and start focusing on this portion. So he uses the ice golem and he uses his king. There goes a red bomb. Just watch the SAM. Uses a rage. So his king's doing his king swap. Pekka comes over. He's not going to really get the best funnel because of that Tesla. That Tesla's going to pull everything, and the king's actually going to wrap back to the top side. So that was good for the Tesla. Now, here's another, kind of a bad thing that I did. You're going to notice in here that there is a lot of giant bombs and small bombs. And again, I tested that because we were testing a Yeti blimp, and we also tested like a the hog blimp with the freaking super goblins in it, and it was working. So again, I kind of overcompensated last minute because our war prep was at like 1:30 a.m. for me, and I only had like a couple hours to get the base set through a friendly war, so I was kind of rushing. So here we go. I wasted all these bombs, which is I'm gonna pay for it on the cleanup because he tomes right through there. So here comes that split that I was talking about. So you can see he's got a big chunk of miners over here, small chunk of miners here, and a lot of hogs coming this way. And he's got hogs in here as well. So everything here is going to continue pretty much going this way, and everything here is going to kind of push up. Didn't really get a good funnel because of that Tesla and the P.E.K.K.A. and the King kind of wrapped back up. So it's just wizards over here doing the funnel. So that was good. That kind of worked exactly how I expected it. But you see these miners? Watch how they're going to path back in. See? Now, we're going to go ahead and see this first spring trap. So, ground skelly in front of a single inferno. That's usually good for, you know, if someone's trying to suey their royal champ. It's kind of how you protect it. I was worried about the suey coming from up top because this is a symmetrical base. So it wouldn't matter if you attacked from 12 o'clock or from 6 o'clock. So I didn't want the RC to come in here and suey for this. So I put a ground skelly kind of in front. Alright, so that's the usefulness of that. Now we're going to look at these spring traps. First spring trap, see what I mean by hogs kind of taking like that angle? So I get 6 hogs. Now, these hogs are going to die. Now watch how the miners path. You would think that they would hit these spring traps, but actually they completely avoid them, which, like I said, it's very hard to perfect. But if I would have had them in the right spot, here, right here in the front, right here in the front, I would have noticed that they avoid the middle part. I don't know how these miners decided that this was closer than where this guy was, but even so, it wouldn't have mattered because they wouldn't hit that. Okay, so proper testing would have told me to put him here. All right, so that's just one juju. Now, you can see these hogs and miners are having a rough time. Queen's dead. This little group is dying, so I'm actually not going to get past this part of the base. He ends up getting really close. I think if he would have saved his queen ability, he might have had this. And then that funnel, you know, that funnel from 3 to 12, it's kind of rough. But you see, Royal Champ's not going to trigger any of those springs, and it wouldn't matter if she did anyway. Miner's going to come, you know, around the outside, but nothing's going to really test to see if that was a good spring trap location. So yeah, some base building errors there. But overall, I kind of built this base design in order to prevent a hybrid, and I ended up preventing a hybrid, right? So very good attack from them. Base kind of worked out. And then this guy came through. Who was it? Maz. Maz is going to just put this base 6 feet under. He's going to exploit the fact that this compartment isn't the money compartment because the way I have it set up for the queen to come this way. Now, if I would have had these expos on ground, this might have been a little bit better. And had I had this sweeper pointed how I had it originally, it might have been a little bit better. Because what he's going to do is he's going to opt to break in here. And he's going to suey his RC in an ice golem to clear out all this. Okay? Now, what that's going to end up doing is giving him access not only to the expos, the eagle, these sweepers, and the town hall, but that's also going to end this. He gets a lot of value on this. But if he came in from the same direction, now he's looking at like an outer loop where his troops kind of, he'd have to clear like a super wide funnel up there because there's nothing going to be here to keep his troops in. Everything's going to kind of go this way. So he's going to flip it. He's actually going to come in with a funnel here and miners. Just miners, no hogs. Now, this is something I did not test against. and kind of woke me up that I need to be testing against more than just the hybrid and the Yetis. Because what's going to end up happening is he's not going to hit but like maybe one or maybe two springs the whole time, and then not having these giant bombs, because giant bombs are really, they used to be really, really strong against hogs, but now with the way that hogs and miners path together, I'd say that the spring traps are more for hogs and more for Yetis than they are for miners. And then the bombs and the skelly traps are going to be what's really useful for your miners. So also one thing I changed on this base, I was not planning on running a hound and 15 archers, but based on the Lalo testing, I really wanted to have some archers in there, kind of throw off the electron if they came in, because that 9 o'clock compartment kind of doesn't have any air sweepers or anything around it. It looks very valuable for an electron. So there's a lot of air traps over there, but doesn't matter because he doesn't use that. I was actually planning on running something like Ice Golem, Witch, and a bunch of archers. And I think that would have probably thrown us off. Maybe even a dragon. I think I was testing originally a dragon with a bunch of archers, which would have really, really hurt this. So unfortunately, you're going to see he doesn't actually really have to deal with the CC at all. These super wall breakers, I mean, they need to do something. That thing didn't even make it. It's ridiculous. Like, how are you supposed to defend that? He blew the wall up from mortar. Anyway, Sneaky Gobs, same funnel. Now, things start off kind of rough for him, but this kind of makes me pay for not having that sweeper and for having those SAMs so deep. So very good recognition there from him. He's going to go ahead and get a freeze down. Now, if I would have had those skellies in front of the Inferno, like here, it would have paid off. I don't think he would have got it, but unfortunately, like I said, you can't defend against everything. So he starts his funnel off, and you can see he triggered a giant bomb there. I have 2 giant bombs in here, a bunch of small bombs in here, because at this point, I'm not even trying to defend the small wall breakers. So, or I'm not trying to defend the super wall breakers because it's just ridiculous. Even when you think you defended it perfectly, it doesn't really work. So he's going to get his funnel going here, funnel going up here. Now you're going to see that these miners just pretty much nullify every trap that I have. Not had I had like a dragon and let's say 25 archers or whatever, I think this would have been a different attack, because as you can see, the CC ignores the miners. But if there was a dragon and a bunch of archers in there, I think it would have been a little bit different. Now, tornado trap, that was planned to stop the electron. Had I tested that a little bit more, I probably would have gone ahead and placed it somewhere like over on this compartment. Here, let me get over there. Probably somewhere in this compartment to defend against more hogs, or try to use it to prevent the queen charge from being so devastating coming through here. So it's just something to look at, but he's going to go ahead and miner through this portion of the base. Everything kind of goes off without a hitch. I mean, this hound, he plays it really smart with the hound. Tomes, gets the poison down, and everything's going to be... So there's another giant bomb. Now watch how these hogs... So I'm going to catch like 2 hogs, but look, again, these miners just avoiding the centers of these defenses. And that's just something you have to test for from different angles. If this compartment is working for hybrid coming from where I kind of baited it from, then you can leave that, but you have to find a way to stop this compartment. So I think a good way to stop that would have been maybe move those ground skellies all over here, like maybe 2 ground skellies, and then maybe a multi-inferno here, and then I mean, this compartment just wasn't really built to stop 30 miners or whatever, but that's what you kind of want to test. If this compartment's holding up well and this compartment's holding up well to the queen charge, then this is your weak compartment, and then this is your weak compartment. Maybe if I move those Teslas outside here, rearrange the trash, move those Teslas outside, and then litter this with bombs, he would have had to force early heal for those miners, which would have saved me from having to heal in here around the CC, and then he wouldn't have had to heal for the back end, which he's using right now. So that's probably a good start to fix it. But you're going to see these miners are just going to completely avoid the spring traps. They get stuck on the skellies, which is good. Kind of get hung up on the Inferno. But again, avoiding those spring traps. Now, he killed the Town Hall. Now, you can see those 2 SAMs for the healers. Not going to matter, but those were the SAMs that I was going for to prevent the Queen charge. And you're going to see as he comes through here, he's going to avoid all these bombs because his Queen now can reach all the defenses. Now, he had a lot of miners left. It was kind of close on time because it was obviously a miner hit, and miners are kind of close on time. But it was still an overwhelming 3-star, and I think it could have been prevented just with testing more. Like I said, don't cripple your base trying to defend one thing. You can see there's 2 giant bombs, and there is probably 4 more small bombs in there that he didn't end up hitting. Almost time failed because of that. Nice archer. But what we're going to do right now, guys, is I'm actually going to head back over to Warwells, and I'm going to be taking a look at some compartments that I built up just to kind of show how to adjust these spring traps, okay? So I'll catch you guys in 1 second. Alright guys, so we're over here back in Warwells, and I'm going to be showing you some examples of some base building tips and kind of just a way. They're not tips as in like this is what you should do in every base. I'm going to be showing you a process that we use in order to test bases. So I don't have a dev build or anything like that. So this is where we're going to be kind of learning how the process of how the good builders in the game become the great builders in the game. And today we're covering spring traps. So I'm going to go ahead and show you just like the basic layout that most guides will tell you to use spring traps, right? So we're going to keep this one over here. Now, right in between 2 defenses, right in the middle, should get you the most effective use out of spring traps. So I'm going to use my other account, and we're going to kind of test this as, just see how hogs path through here and see if it is actually the most effective use. Because just because you put spring traps in between 2 buildings doesn't actually mean that the spring traps are going to catch anything as they come through. So this is going to be an example for hogs. So I'm going to be hitting this with just hog riders. I'm not going to be doing the attack with like a queen charge or anything like that. We're just going to focus on how the hogs pass through this normal size, three defense deep compartment, and we're going to be coming in with a 2-finger drop on the archer tower and the cannon. So kind of 2-finger wall. Here come the hogs. Not using a healer or anything. Just gonna see where they pass, see how many times they hit the springs. So, okay, no springs from one and got 1 hog from the other. Again, so terrible, terrible, terrible. If you bring that compartment into a CWL attack and someone hits you with hogs, or into a CWL war and someone hits you with hogs, they're gonna laugh because that's supposed to be, you figure spring traps can get 18 troop space per spring trap. So that's 3 hogs. I had 4 spring traps in there. So you're looking at supposed to be getting like 12 hogs with those, and you only got 2 or 3. So that is not how we want to place our spring traps on this base. So let's go ahead and start playing with it, right? That's what you're going to want to do during base testing. You're going to want to play around with your spring traps. So let's go 1, and then let's put them all close. See if that works. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and test it like this. And OP Blimp. K-Dub's always testing crazy stuff. Great guy. All right, so we are gonna go back in with the changes. All right, so same 2-finger deployment, going at the same compartments. See how they do. All right, here come the hogs. Now remember, we put them all close to the center. So let's see if that works. Oh, I caught a good amount there. I think that was 4 or 5. 3. So again, not perfect, but getting better. Now, if you notice on the replays, the hogs are actually doing something kind of weird. and they are going from coming from in here, and then when they get to these defenses, they're going out to the corners. Now, there's no real explanation I can give for that, but it's kind of nullifying the usefulness of these. So let's see if I can adjust this in order to make this compartment a little bit stronger. Let's go like this. All right. Now, the reason why base testing is kind of annoying, a lot of people are, buying bases nowadays and stuff, which is fine. Big shout out to RH Base Building, my boy Hartech, really putting some good stuff together over there. And then my man and clan in Warwells, Christoph, again, another OG base builder. So I'm really glad to know those guys. Glad to see Hartech, made a place for himself. Why is this guy hitting my base? Come on, man. Please don't attack my base. Freaking red. Please don't. All right, cool. All right, so same deployment. Am I testing something? No, I'm recording something, bro. Red doesn't watch my videos anyway. All right, so 2-finger deployment. Let's see how that goes. Now he's watching to see how if I'm testing something. All right, so hog. Nah, that's pretty good. That's 5. See how it works. Caught a couple more. Now those hogs in there, because of timing, didn't path that way. So that's very interesting. So let's try one more time. This is not hey, do this with your base. This is how you test your base, because you'll never know this. You'll never know this until you test it. Let's try like this. And the reason why you want to do this is because you can bait certain attacks to come into certain compartments. And you kind of saw how I did that on the first doing a tutorial. Guys in my clan are crazy. All right, so yeah, I kind of baited the hybrid, right? And that's what I wanted, and it's exactly what I got, and I defended it. So you just have to do this to multiple different attacks, and you have to do this multiple times. So that's why it's good to have people kind of identify your bases and really get into the weeds of base building. So here we go. Boom. All right, those first 2 springs are good. Let's see how these go. Only caught 1, and I caught 4. So I'm catching around 10 hogs in total, which, isn't the worst, but you could just see the number of hogs that make it through there are very minimal. Now, I'm going to show one more example, and we're going to just add something in there just to kind of test it out. Probably shouldn't show those. Anyone who thinks that they can use those bases that just got shown, I'm not going to be in the CWO war this week, so don't worry about it. So let's see if I place this spring trap in the middle, but this here, let's see if this is any more effective. And what I'm hoping happens is the tornado will spin the hogs into those spring traps, just to see. This is how you just, try different things. Stay ahead of the meta, because while everyone is generally on the same page as far as attacking meta goes, what they are not on the same page for is defensive meta. Okay, so you can always get ahead of defense, and that's why it's great to have people like Christoph and Alex and Red in the clan, because they really kind of push the meta. So let's see if the spring trap works. Hogs come in, boom. Get plenty of hogs on that first one. Let's see. Now that's nice. So I got about 10 hogs there, and then the spring trap works. See how? Oh, they didn't get the last one. So again, that spring trap and tornado, the extra one I just added, probably not necessary, because you can't really tell the value off of that. So we'll go ahead and remove that. We'll remove that. But overall, the value that we're getting out of the spring trap adjustments here are perfect. Okay, so I just want to show that it's not, like some luck. I'm going to move the spring traps back to where they came from. Come on, spring trap. Move. and we're going to see, we're just going to confirm that this isn't, you know, some luck of the draw thing. Billy's a new member. Shout out to Billy. Good luck with your tryouts, brother. All right, so let's confirm that this is not just I'm getting lucky. All right, so both counts in. And this will be our last example, guys. Just kind of showing you how to, you have to do this with all your compartments, with all your traps, you know, for Lalo, for hybrid, for hogs, for everything. You want to be testing everything that you can. This is why people hate building, because, see, I mean, only 3 hogs. Only 2, only 5 in total. So that compartment with that setup, hogs coming from that direction, are not very effective. That's not going to get me what I want. So I'm either going to have to change that compartment, or I'm going to have to change the traps. So I just want to give you guys an example over what proper base testing looks like. You know, obviously you're not going to test it on a base like this. This is more just to gather ideas. You want to kind of set your base up, build it with the ideas that you come up with, and then you want to test it and adjust the traps, because a good base will get you about 50% of the way, like a good layout. Now, what makes a really, really good base is going to be how you trap the inside of that base to prevent the attacks that that base is weak to. Okay, and that's kind of what you're going to want to be going for. Don't use this as an example. This is just like a farm base. Just kind of threw this together. But yeah, so I'm going to be bringing more of this series. I know it's kind of a longer video and it's not really showing a lot of attacking, but kind of beating myself up on base building and bringing you guys some things that I'm learning each and every war, and throughout the process of testing my bases weekly, and you know, all that jazz. So I'm trying to encourage more people to get into base building. I'm tired of seeing the same YouTube video bases on everyone's account, right? So next week I'm probably going to be bringing something along giant bombs, or I might do something with seeking air mines. See if it's more useful to try to defend queen charges with your seeking air mine, or is it more useful trying to bait those battle blimps. Probably going to be looking at the battle blimp in different ways you can kind of bait and defend the battle blimp. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. I love base building. I'm a pretty decent builder. That guy did a nice cleanup hit, and I probably won't run any more like anti-2 kind of designs. But big ups to Klosh. You know, they're a very strong clan. So if you can get a defense from them, you're probably in the right ballpark of where you're going. All right. Make sure you guys drop a like. Let me know if you like this series. If you don't, maybe I can make it shorter, try to work on that. It's just really kind of hard to explain base building in a 10-minute video. So I hope you guys like it. If you don't like base building, just give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks, guys.